it's beginning to dawn on people that no deal is the best way forward, because it gets us the gains, it gets us a clean Brexit, and so everybody can then move forward on the basis of free trade. I mean, it is clear that free trade is best for our economy and our own regulation, with less interfering than the EU, and control of our borders, get rid of this subsidy of unskilled immigrants that the EU forces on us. So all that's good from the point of view of the economy, and we know that business can cope because they've got this huge devaluation. And so I think that the markets feel the devaluation is certainly big enough to help manufacturers over the line, to get their productivity up, and the same with farmers. I mean, I agree with Doug McWilliams, I mean, we've often agreed in the past that in the end, of course, there will be a deal with the EU, but it may be 10 years off. Meanwhile, we've got to get on with this thing.
And when we get on with it, Patrick, while we're getting on with it, I mean, is it a bit easier for you to say when you look at the numbers on a piece of paper that you think that it will be fine if there was a hard Brexit with no deal? But yet, if you were a car manufacturer or a person working in the car industry in the UK, all of a sudden, your industry would be hit with a relatively large tax, wouldn't it? It would be some huge changes that would happen for British business if we went down that route.
British business is in incredibly good form at the moment. It's got very high profits because of a devaluation of 15%.
Yeah, but we're in the European Union at the moment.
Well, we are, but, this is a huge boost to its profits, which enables it to cope with the sorts of things you're talking about. I mean, average tariffs to manufacturing against the EU and from us to the EU, if we do tit for tat, will be about 3.5%. This is a small amount of money, and it can easily be coped with, particularly as
But would there be big job losses? You say it'd be easily be coped with, but would you admit that there are certain industries that if there was a no deal that would see quite a drastic change in the way they'd have to do business, and that may affect jobs?
This is a big regime change, which is good for the economy, and some industries will lose protection, and they'll have to raise productivity to deal with it. But meanwhile, they've got a huge package to keep them going in the form of this devaluation, which should enable them to adjust, and particularly deal with a period when we don't have a deal with the EU, because as Doug has said, we will eventually have one, and so they've really just got to sort themselves out, adjust to free trade, be competitive, raise productivity, and stop really complaining the whole time that, they don't like free trade, they do want protection, they want the EU to continue regulating us, which is an absurd situation from the national interest point of view.